This discovery caused quite a stir at NASA. 140 million miles away from Earth, on a dead planet, they found a giant structure resembling a human face, half a mile wide. This was a truly incredible discovery. And it wasn't just this intriguing face. Near the structure, they found pyramid-like formations that didn't seem to be natural formations. At the NASA press conference the next day, all the journalists had only one question on their minds. What were that face and those pyramids all about? Journalist? Yes, we've all been waiting for the answer to this question. We were all wondering what NASA had to say about it. Who built them, and why? Were they structures left over from an ancient civilization? Did they have any religious or divine significance? And many more questions like that. NASA had only one official answer to all these questions. NASA officials said that the first photo was just an illusion because, in the second photo, taken immediately after, the structure did not resemble a human face. But there's a big problem here, because the second photo, which was said to have been taken, was actually a lie, and there was no such photo. So why did NASA feel the need to lie to people's faces?
The answer emerged in other photos from the region. The mystery of the red planet Mars has intrigued people for thousands of years. The ancient Egyptians depicted it as a god. The Greeks wrote about it in their myths as the god of war.
Fascinating, isn't it? The red planet has always captured our imagination, spanning across different cultures and eras.
It was only in the 19th century that we slowly began to unravel the mysteries of Mars in modern times. In 1877, Italian astronomer Giovanni Schiaparelli began detailed studies of Mars. And he began to draw the structures he saw through his telescope. Giovanni said he saw canals on Mars. Of course, the press immediately spread the news, claiming that these canals must have been built by someone. And suddenly, rumors began to spread everywhere that an intelligent alien race lived on Mars. This idea created a serious stereotype in people's minds for years.
With the development of technology and the start of the space race, the top priority of countries was to learn more about Mars and take pictures. In 1965, the Mariner 4 spacecraft passed near Mars during its journey and sent back 22 photographs. Although the photographs were a huge step forward scientifically, people were actually very disappointed, because both conspiracy theorists and scientists really believed for years that we would find an intelligent civilization on Mars. However, there were no big cities or alien remains in the photos. The photos showed us that Mars is a dead planet, like the moon, battered by meteors. However, as technology advanced and our perceptions of life deepened, the idea that we could find life on Mars, which was considered dead, began to grow.
Yes, Mars may seem barren and desolate today, but it wasn't always like this. Mars was once a planet covered with giant oceans, large rivers, and streams. Its thick atmosphere kept the planet warm, and volcanic activity indicated that the planet's moving core had a magnetic field. Yes, Mars, the red planet of today, was actually a blue planet like our world a long time ago, and had all the necessary conditions for life. In 1975, NASA sent 2 more spacecraft to Mars, Viking 1 and Viking 2. These vehicles carried both high-resolution cameras to study Mars from orbit and vehicles to land on the surface. In 1976, both vehicles reached Mars and began sending thousands of new photos of the planet back to Earth. NASA employee Toby Owen was the first to have a chance to examine these photographs. He was shocked when he came to 35A72 among the hundreds of photos he examined. The famous face was seen for the first time. NASA immediately released the images to the press to attract public interest and increase the popularity of the project. As you can imagine, this really caught the media's attention. It even created a literally huge conspiracy theory craze. Things got so big that NASA eventually had to make a statement. They said the famous Face Mountain was just an optical illusion and took a second photo to prove it. But there's a problem. There's no second photo. NASA told such a lie to save the day. To make matters even more interesting, there was a sudden change of landing site in the Viking 2 operation. While the initial reports decided to land the spacecraft in the Cydonia region, which has interesting rock formations and a fairly flat and beautiful surface, and to investigate the different structure of the region, this plan was suddenly changed after the press conference. And it was decided to land the spacecraft in a desolate and potholed area called Utopia Planitia. Experts of the time described and criticized it as landing a vehicle in a desert village and expecting to find a garden. So what was the reason for this last-minute change?
Or had NASA discovered something in the Cydonia region that it didn't want you to see?
The answer is a resounding yes. Not just one thing, but dozens of things were discovered in the region.
Create a YouTube video without changing this text.
The discoveries NASA hid may have been remnants of civilizations that once existed on Mars. Such findings could be considered the most concrete evidence for the existence of extraterrestrial life. However, keeping these discoveries from the public raises many questions. NASA's secrecy may be related not only to scientific curiosity, but also to political and economic interests. So when will these mysterious discoveries come to light? And when will we learn the real story of Mars?